Now let's bring in our next guest. It's going to be George Tsilis, senior markets correspondent here. George, we're talking Tesla. Kind of wanted to bring this one up. It's down nearly 30% so far this year. Elon Musk prioritizing maybe deliveries of his chips and moving them to X as opposed to Tesla. But we've been hearing those rumors recently that, hey, sales of EVs are really falling, and especially for Tesla, not only here, but overseas also.
Well, I think, yeah, if you look at the automotive revenues, last quarter and at the end of course, March for Q1, they were down year over year. And if you look at total sales for Tesla as a company, it was higher, at least in the last 4 quarters compared to the previous 4 quarters, higher by only 10%. So I think if you look at the automotive revenues and automotive margins, which were down from a growth standpoint about 26% over the last year, looking at the stock price, which is down about 30%, that actually might be, of course, justified considering that they've cut prices aggressively. That's cut into total revenues at the automotive level. And of course, also from a net income standpoint, it's cut into their earnings growth. But, if you think about Tesla, it's really going on. What's going on with the company is all their other revenues. And this includes, the supercharger stations. Their elements behind the autonomous driving, I think, are extremely important for the company going forward. But, ideally speaking, they're trying to hit lower price points for their automobiles. They're essentially trying to, broach, or if you will, appease, both ends of the markets. Obviously, the Cybertruck, which is more of a novelty item, very expensive. And now they're trying to develop and perhaps going to be unveiling soon a compact car, which is more affordable at the sub $25,000 level. So when I think about Tesla, especially right now, considering, if you look at the last 5 years, the stock is still up over 1,300%. It's really had a bad year price-wise, but it's also had a bad year from an earnings growth standpoint, where EBITDA actually contracted, in sales from a automotive standpoint were down last quarter compared to the same quarter for the previous year. So I think Tesla going forward is going to be all about licensing its FSD, or full self-driving technologies, which again, they are a leader. If you look at the cumulative miles driven in terms of data collection for FSD, we talk about artificial intelligence and large learning language models, or LLMs. Tesla's a leader in this because they've collected huge amounts of data over the past 5 or 6 years. They keep delaying their full self-driving. They're on version 12. It's still under beta testing. But I think, looking at the stock, it's trying to find a base. Obviously, it looks like from an earnings standpoint, it's starting to base. And it looks like potentially going into August, they'll be launching the first version of the robo-taxi. So I think that's going to be a catalyst for the stock, essentially for its ability to expand in terms of its multiple. Because we've looked at Nvidia, it's been a tremendous productivity gain that is being priced in for Nvidia and artificial intelligence. You have to think about autonomous driving. That's a massive productivity gain. And I think Tesla is going to be the primary beneficiary of it.
George, the title of my question is Teardrops and Tidal Waves. Why should a Tesla investor care about this report? It came out of CNBC that they're moving inventory from one business to another. If nothing else, don't we trust Elon Musk to make the best decisions for the slew of companies that he owns? And all things considered, he's been a good steward of all these companies doing the best job. Why do we care about the minutia? And by the way, why is an Nvidia email being leaked to the media?
Well, I think if you look at this news, it's news. I don't think it's really meaningful from the standpoint of Tesla or X in terms of allocating capital, or physical capital in this case, that Elon Musk has, or his group of companies has, in terms of their Nvidia chips. I think it's more of a headline. Obviously headlines are being generated because of AI, Nvidia, and I think that's what it is. Other than that, I don't think it's really meaningful, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
I think, looking at Tesla, the total automotive sales, when it comes down to the competition we're seeing, especially in China, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I think for lower price points has been a strategy. They've cut into their margins because of lower price points. But ideally speaking, the catalyst for Tesla, at least in my view, is autonomous driving, because they'll be licensing their technology to other major manufacturers like Volkswagen, Toyota. I mean, these are companies which produce over 10 million units each on a global basis versus Tesla's 2 million units. So I think this is a headline, to be honest with you, and I think the headlines around automotive sales are already priced into the stock. I'm looking for the next catalyst, which I think may be in August, so I think that's something to keep in mind.
How about the June 13th investor meeting where they're going to vote on his pay package?
Yeah.
Might be a small mover there, too.
For sure. All right, great stuff. Thanks to George Tsilis, senior markets correspondent here, breaking down Tesla.